My name is Serena Oriel. I've been involved with MCRCI for 7 months now. I have HER2 estrogen positive as well cancer, and that's a particularly deadly type of cancer that can go all kinds of places, and I needed some other possible help, and that's what brought me to Terry. I tried during chemo, my last set of chemo, to use tinctures or to ingest it in various ways. I cannot tolerate any type of cannabis that's heated. As soon as it's heated, warmed, the THC comes out, and so I cannot use that part of the cannabis. However, I can use something that's heated for application on my skin, which I did, because originally I had 2 lumps, and the first lump that I used the cannabis oil and resin mix together on disappeared. In fact, there was a potential mole that they were questioning as well, and that disappeared too. So there is parts of the THC, as long as I don't ingest it, that I can use. Having said that, what I ingest has no THC. I've tried everything. I've tried naturopathic IVs, I've tried homeopathics, I have tried nutritional supplements, and now I'm juicing every day raw cannabis. I went through 18 months of chemo. There were 4 different drugs. In fact, one of the drugs that I was on has now been pulled by the FDA, no longer is available to give to anyone with cancer because the side effects were so horrific they led to death. So this time around, this is my 2nd bout of cancer, same type of cancer exactly. I was determined to find other means with the blessing of my doctors. Terry and MCRCI has helped me through the process of licensing, finding the growers to grow the product that I need in a way that I need it. Now, I'm juicing raw cannabis. It has to be food grade. It's not street grade. It can't be sprayed with all kinds of things. It has to be handled in a certain way. It has to be picked and juiced within 15 minutes and frozen. How was I, as a patient, ever going to be able to find anything like that or deal with anything like that, going through what I was going through? So to be able to go to some place like MCRCI, to be able to sit down with someone, to let them be, my advocate, to let them be, my person to put everything together, is huge for a patient. It really makes a difference. MCRCI made me feel, as a patient, completely comfortable with my choices. I was coming in with a doctor's prescription. I was coming in with something that had been recommended to me by a doctor that I trusted, and they never questioned that, which was a completely different approach, you have to understand, to how a number of other doctors they would question you right, left, and center about your choices or what you're doing or how you're doing it. And that's something that, as a patient going through a life and death struggle, you do not want to face. My plant count exemption is for 292 plants. The reason it's that high is that I'm juicing 80 grams a day. So my grower needs to be able to harvest leaf. I tried to do this once on my own because I hadn't been hooked up yet with MCRCI. I didn't even know about it. And so one plant is 1 day. That's 1 day I go through a plant. So to be able to have good hardy plants with large enough leaves that have enough of the nutrients that make the difference for me, it has to be 292 plants. Currently, there is legislation in place around cannabis use and growth, and patients at this point are not sure how they can impact that legislation. That's a fabulous question that I would, as a client of MCRCI, go to MCRCI to ask to find out from Terry ways that we can get in touch with the coalition and get in touch with people who are already doing that. I do know that for me, what's really important is that the legislation does not make allowance for certified growers or licensed growers by the government. So the government is going to license them and certify whatever, but it doesn't make any allowance for juice. How are they going to do that? How are they going to sell that? How are we going to acquire that? It also doesn't make any allowance for resins or oils or things that I can use. I just had a mastectomy with a reconstruction in November. I was very swollen. I had to use these salves. The best ones I could find were made from cannabis. It took the inflammation down immediately. Better than anything else that I could have found. Where is that going to come? You know, as a patient, are we going to be allowed to grow just our own, a small amount of plants, maybe 2 or 3 even, so that we can make our own preparations? There's no allowance for those things right now.